Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, boxing and MMA fans from around the world. Introducing from Bassett, California, the third man in the ring, Popeye Ray.
All right, guys, welcome to Third Man in the Ring. I'm your host, Popeye Ray. Today I have an awesome guest, man. I'm excited. I'm starstruck. This man gave us great fights, 5 divisions. He was a world champion, guys. Today we're going to hear about how he grew up, where he grew up, his ups and downs in life, his financial, I hear he's doing well, just his testimony. But I want you guys to give him a warm Third Man in the Ring welcome, Mikey Garcia.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Mikey, for coming on, bro. Man, I'm as many times as I seen you fight, now we're actually talking, you know?
Yeah,
And you fans know all the great fights that Mikey, you have done.
Thanks.
So real quick, we heard from Robert,
Yeah.
your big brother. But you we want to hear from your side. How did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
Oh, man. Look, it's, growing up in a boxing family, my dad loved the sport.
Mr. Garcia,
and
mad respect for him.
Thank you. And so growing up, he loved the sport so much that he got my older brothers, Danny and Robert, in boxing. So I grew up watching them go to the gym, spending the afternoons, in the gym with them sometimes after school, things like that. I do remember watching a lot of the pay-per-view shows, doing the carne asada, get the family together. And, most dinner conversations revolved around boxing. My dad was in charge of the amateur program there in La Colonia in Oxnard. My brother was boxing amateur, Fernando Vargas también, and the crew.
And you guys are kind of tight.
Yeah, we're very close. We're very close with Fernando. It's like another
fighters out there.
Yeah,
too, right?
Well, my dad had the gym, right? So he had a lot of fighters that were coming out of Oxnard by my dad's, training. Fernando being the biggest one to accomplish the most.
And your brother.
My brother Robert. But he had a lot of other fighters as well, and I grew up watching them. There were a couple years older than me, but I watched them. I go to the gym. So growing up, it was just kind of natural to be around boxing and learn so much just from watching, just from being at the gym, listening to the conversations, about potential fights, matchmaking, weight classes. So I had a different experience, even though I was not in the moment boxing myself, like as an amateur. I just learned from just observing and watching, and like I said, every dinner conversation had something to do with boxing.
But the rumor is that you didn't want to box.
I never wanted to.
That's crazy, bro. I mean, hey, fans, check that out.
Yeah.
For a youngster not to want to box and I'm telling you, I'm not blowing smoke, Mikey. You had some exciting
thank
fights,
you. But
bro.
look, it's because I just I never imagined I'd be a boxer and try to have a career in boxing. I saw my brothers do it. I saw Robert and Fernando and some of the other guys, and it for me it was kind of like.
Is it fair to say the ugly side?
I saw
what was it?
Part of it. Part of it is the politics, the business behind it that sometimes gets in the way of the fighter and his career. But I also saw the training that it takes, the dedication, the discipline, and I mean I was a kid, so I just didn't really quite want that for me. Like most kids that start boxing at 8 years old, 10 years old, they don't really know what it's like to be at the high level and training sessions, training camps and dieting and staying away from family and friends. They don't know that. It's their first time, they're kids, they're amateurs. It's a whole different ball game.
They just see the trophy.
They only see the trophies, or they see the glamour, the stars on pay-per-view, on HBO, on Showtime, and you winning the titles, and they think that's, everything that boxing brings. But I got to see the training, the diets, stuff that I'm like, I don't want that for me. I didn't really look forward to that. But, being in the boxing, I just kind of fell into it.
Did you struggle when you dieted? Were there struggles
there? It's more like the discipline that it takes, the dedication that it's required. I mean, you've been around it with, other fighters that you've seen. Weigh-ins.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably at their weakest point at that moment. They may look all ripped and buff and ready to go.
Like me?
Just like you.
All right.
But that they're probably hurting inside.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw with Robert, with Fernando, and some of the other guys. And I just was not obviously
And
attracted
you know
to
what?
that.
That's an ugly look. I don't know if you know, Mikey. I have a son now fighting at 135. And man, he's just, it's just ugly the way I see him.
You
know?
definitely know firsthand what he's going through. And so I got to see some of that, right?
Yeah.
When I started boxing as an amateur, I mean, there's not a whole lot of weight, cut to
you're growing.
You're growing,
much,
so you're kind of fluctuating. Then once you start, fighting professional, I was fighting at featherweight, and for a long time I was there, and I was pretty comfortable. Came to the point 10 years ago, June 14, 15 of 2013, I fought Juanma Lopez. I failed to make weight on the scale. I went through hell to try to make weight, and I just couldn't. My body finally just said, "That's it. You're done. You're done." And I was a little under 2 pounds over. I just couldn't do it anymore. I passed out, dehydrated. I was like ready to go to the hospital. Like, I was bad.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to hydrate enough to recover and fight. I still went through with the fight. I won, but that was the last time I fought at featherweight. I moved up to 130. And even 130 was still, a bit of a struggle. Over the years, then later I moved up in weight class as my body continued to grow, and eventually towards the end of my career, I was just fighting, at a much higher weight class at 147, which I never actually stepped scale at 147. I was always weighing in at 43 and 44, right around there.
You could clearly see, in my opinion, you could clearly see when you fought the Spence fight.
Oh, yeah.
You were the smaller man.
I was definitely the smaller man. But, I wanted to challenge myself.
Still look good, though,
I
bro.
believed, in myself so much.
Yeah.
Like, I think every champion, every fighter needs to believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And you need to feel that you're unbeatable, that you're invincible. And that's the only way you can challenge yourself. And you got to test yourself. What good is it to kind of protect yourself so much, too much?
Yeah.
You got to take risks once in a while. It's good to be safe about certain things, and
especially with the ruthless fans. you stay in that locked weight, they're gonna like, he hasn't fought nobody.
Exactly.
You never can make.
You can go. You can go through all the contenders, and there's always gonna be critics, and So I wanted to fight, champions and top champions, undefeated fighters. And I did, I did fight a lot of the champions at the time around my weight class and around. And I mean, it was just, what I wanted to do. I wanted to give the fans, fights that they were happy to see.
So tell me, if you could just think off the top of your head, Mikey, what was your hardest fight? Not necessarily, I mean, because it's a double-ended question. Tell the fans what was your hardest, or what fight actually sticks out.
Look, throughout my career, when you're in the developmental stage of a fighter, there's gonna be some tough tests that the fans will never know about because they were not highlighted, they were not on TV. But some of these, journeymen that are out there testing you, gatekeeper, qualifications like that.
That's a good way of putting gatekeeper.
You got to get through those tests.
Yeah.
And some of those fights might even be a little tougher than some of the world title fights that you saw me in. I clearly remember this one fight at the Palms. It was, against a guy. He was from Atlanta, Georgia. I can't remember the exact name. I think Jose might have been his name. I'm not sure. But this guy, he was like, he had a couple losses, 3-4 losses out of like 16 or 18 fights. I don't know, 15 fights, 3-4 losses, somewhere around there. But he was like on a good 3-win streak, 4-win streak against undefeated fighters. Like,
so he came in
confident, right? He was at the moment he was a USBA champion.
Were you known at that time?
No, I probably had like 10 fights maybe or something. So I was like said in the developmental stage of my career.
Okay.
But he came to win. He came, confident to win. He put on such a tough fight for me. In the second round, I dropped him. But he jumps back up and keeps fighting strong. And that put me in a test where it's like, okay, this guy ain't staying down. Yeah. This guy ain't here to just take a knee or take a loss. He's here to win. He kept fighting all night. And
were you telling I should have ran that extra mile?
It was that happened at the last round. The last round. It was like the 8th round or something when I stunned him at the end of the round. And as I'm walking away, because the bell rang, whatever, I'm going to my corner, and I can tell that he's a little hurt. So I'm like, okay, good thing, I got him this time. So the next following round, I really stepped up, the pace, and I was able to get the stoppage. But that guy was tough. That was one of my tougher fights.
He sticks out.
Because I know it was tough. It was a very close fight. Whereas we're both fighting each other. It's very competitive. He was not.
What year was this?
This had to be, I think, like maybe 2008.
So it might be on YouTube, huh?
Maybe I know it was on the Claudia versus Ab Judah show.
There you go, fans. You look maybe on the YouTube. Look at the highlights of Mikey. They're all on there.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, exciting fights, bro.
Yeah, that fight was tough. But then, fast forward to some of the other, the more highlighted fights. Of course, the Errol Spence fight. That was a tough fight for me. Couldn't do anything all night. He was just.
I mean, in my opinion, and I'm not just
again,
I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm not taking anything away from Spence, but you were the smaller man fighting a big man.
The size definitely made a huge difference.
It's like when you hit that big heavy bag,
you can't move it.
Exactly. Look, you can't move it.
A few things that made the fight go the way they did. Obviously, the height and reach advantages that he has over me are significant. He's got the southpaw stance, which is very good at managing the time and distance. He's able to gauge that very well. He's a very smart fighter. I always said that he reminded me a lot of me in the fact that he doesn't do anything flashy. Nothing's out of this world, but he does everything very, very well, very efficient. Controls the distance, controls the range, knows when to go on the attack, when to retreat. He's very good at that.
But nobody shoots a 1-2 like you, bro.
Thanks.
Hey, fans,
that
look at him.
My favorite combo.
Your 1-2, the way you step in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different when you just 1-2, but you would step in and then, man.
It has more power. You get more power. You get more leverage behind it. So I was always, that was a sweet one. My favorite.
But you had a sweet left hook as well, though.
That's some good left hook. Yeah. I was very good with my left hand in general. My dad always trained me to have a very good left hand. Because the left hand is very important to either keep a distance by jabbing or moving your opponent a little bit. You can open up, the guard for the right hand. After the jab, you come in with the right. You can also throw that hook. So it's very, very good.
Well, I was watching the Broner fight, and you were throwing some good left hooks, good hooks to the body as well.
For the Broner fight, we
what
that was probably one of my best performances.
What weight was that one?
140. That was my first fight at 140. That was a 140.
And he was bigger than you, too.
Yeah, he's naturally, you can see his frame. And he hits hard. He's strong. He's fast. Yeah. For that fight, I was probably one of my best performances as far as me being so mentally prepared, physically prepared, motivated, hungry. I knew what, that fight would do for me. A victory over Adrian Broner would do for me. So I was super motivated for that fight. And even though he was bigger, I could never really hurt him. With the punches, because I landed some good shots on him.
Yeah, you did.
But I was never able to hurt him because he is naturally big and strong. My knockouts and from my fights and knockout wins usually all were in the smaller weight class, featherweight, and junior lightweight and lightweight.
Well, it's almost like Chavez Senior. He would beat you up over
a longer time. Well, with Broner, I kept. If you look at the stats for like punch stats for that fight, I kept increasing my punch output and connecting percentage over the course of the fight. In the last, I don't know, maybe 3 rounds, I picked it up even more. I wanted to secure the win, close it, and just really, rip it so that there's no doubt, who had won, and we came out with a good win.
And what was your hardest fight as far as where you thought maybe?
Well, look,
besides the Spence,
like I said, Spence fight, for those reasons,
I seen your brother stop the fight, and you know what? I mean, you weren't getting beat down.
No,
he was the bigger man.
Look, he's very, like I said, he's a very good fighter. Errol Spence is a very good fighter, very, very one of the very best. And even though he was winning every round, honestly, I was not getting beat up like you said right now. I never felt a solid punch that hurt me, even though he was winning the rounds with volume and punching. But I blocked a lot. I parried a lot of punches, and I was defending myself to get through and try to see if I could find some opening. I just never could. He was always a step faster and quicker and just better. At one point, my brother and my dad were thinking of stopping the fight, like in the maybe like the 9th, 10th round, I forget. They were considering stopping the fight. Like, hey, we're not seeing anything out of you. Like, Why keep going? And I said, I'm fine. I'm not hurt. Let me just keep going. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I find something. Maybe I catch him. You never know. And, you know, that's just the hope and the faith that you have in yourself. So they let me go, and we continued the fight. We went all 12 rounds. And even Spence, I think at probably like the last round, he also kind of noticed that, okay, it's going 12 rounds. So he kind of just let that last round just kind of go. Yeah. But there was a few rounds where he tried to pick it up. I could feel it, and I still was able to defend.
Yeah,
so that was
footwork,
tough. That was probably, like I said, one of the toughest fights for those reasons. But then before that, like I said, there's a few other fights that, even though they were not as highlighted, they were tough, like those, you know, journeymen that I'm talking about.
And then I was looking at the YouTube fights, and you got dropped in one of those fights. I go, I didn't know Mikey's been dropped before.
I've been dropped twice.
Look, you stepped up good and you knocked him out.
One of those fights that I got dropped,
it looked like a straight right hand.
No one's even seen it. Okay, so I lost. I got dropped by Rocky Martinez. That's the one you probably seen on YouTube. Rocky Martinez from Puerto Rico.
Yes, there you go.
That's the one.
But you end up knocking him out.
I stopped him in the 7th round, 8th round.
Viciously too, bro.
Left hook to the body. It was a solid shot to the body that I dropped him. But he did catch me with a straight little right hand, short right hand.
That was in the early rounds?
2nd round.
Okay.
And when I got put on my ass, and I turned back and I winked at my brother. I let him know I'm okay. My dad and my brother right there, beat that. My nephew, they're like, watching. I turned around, winked at him, let him know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
Got back up, continued. As the fight progressed, I picked up the pace. I started to take control. Finally, 7th round, I was able to get the stoppage.
So, as a fighter, when you got dropped, did what goes through your mind? I've never been in a big fight like that.
Look,
I mean, just a little fear, like.
No, look, for me, I'm one to always visualize my fights. So I replay my fights before I step in the ring. I've already fought the fight.
You study the fight?
I don't study the opponent that much. I'll watch a couple rounds, 2-3 rounds from different fights, and that's all I look through. I don't feel like you need to study so much. I mean, you pretty much see.
I mean, a quote. I don't know. Ben Lira.
Yeah, of course.
Your dad and him
Ben
are
Lira.
very close. But Ben Lira goes, "Don't worry about what the other guy's doing. Worry about what you're doing."
So I'll see maybe 2 or 3 rounds of the opponent, and that's pretty much all I need to see. But what I do is visualize my fight many times, 1,000 times throughout training camp. When I'm about to go to sleep, when I wake up, in the middle of the day, I'm constantly visualizing different scenarios in the fight that can play out.
Good or bad?
Good and bad. I even visualize myself going down, getting dropped. How am I going to react? What am I going to do? How am I going to roll over? Or if I fall forward, if I fall back, what am I supposed to do? That way I'm trained. So when it does happen, I can react comfortably and not panic. See, you're only afraid of what's around the corner because you don't know what's there. But if you already know what's there, you can go and take that corner without any fear. So when I go in that ring and I've already replayed every scenario possible, I already know how to react. I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. I'm not panicking. So for instance, when I got dropped on my butt, right? Both times. Yeah. Now, some people try to get up right away. Well, you don't know if you might be a little shaky, Okay. And if you do try to get up and can't quite get up, the referee might mistake that for you being so hurt.
Watch that referee.
And they might end up stopping the fight.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was take a couple of seconds real quick, just take a little breather, then turn around to your side and then get up. So you're not trying
to... guys, you're hip fighters. That's good advice.
You gotta use your head, bro, So
I've been dropped so many times. Ben Lira called me canvas back Corona. So, I mean.
Hey, I remember you telling me a story about Ben and when you were trying to box and.
Yeah. I was trying to. He just goes, stop. He goes, come here, Ray. And I went back in there with my head. He goes, are you going to hit back or not? I'm like, I guess,
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's why, again, I told your brother, Robert, back in the day before I was still involved in the barrio a lot, man, we used to have juntas and bolos at the hut to watch your brother fight, Fernando fight. And then as I got older, now I'm watching his little brother fight. You know what I mean? It's crazy how life works. You know what I mean?
I mean, you've always obviously loved boxing, your whole life, and you're still
obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Some guys would have these fantasies of doing, I don't know what, but mine was, I
Boxing.
would have loved to have been a world champion,
Yeah.
I just seen that. And that's why when I'd see you fight, man, I was just, you were an exciting fighter.
It was. I think I had a good career. It was a very textbook style of fighting, but at the same time, because I had good power, I'm able to give the fans, knockdowns, knockouts, and made the fight that much more exciting. And I think that's also why the fans, loved, watching me fight. It drew the attention because they knew that it could change in 1 second.
Yes.
One right hand or a good left hook, and
especially
changes.
A real boxing fan knows your opponent.
Yeah.
Oh man, Mikey's going up against him. But when the commentators really pump up that opponent,
Oh yeah.
now everybody like,
Now
Mikey,
everybody.
Mikey took
Yeah.
too much out of there. He might have bit too much.
Too much. Yeah.
He can't chew.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and knock him out. Who was he from? Australia? What was he from? Remember you knocked him out with a left hook. He almost turned around and.
You're talking about Dejan
Yes.
Zlatikanen. He's from Montenegro.
Oh my
he was
God.
he was the WBC lightweight champion, undefeated, and I was challenging for the title. It
And
was
the
my third
stats
division.
were in his favor.
He was favorite. He was the favorite for that fight. I had been gone for those 2.5 years. I had that 2.5 year layoff. Politics and business promotion kept me away for those 2.5 years. When I came back at lightweight, and I'm trying to fight him for the world title. So the stats, and the odds were in his, favor.
And
everybody thought he was going to be the one.
Let me ask you that, Mikey. Is there any truth to not being in the ring for that long? 2 years?
Look,
was it 2 years?
It was 2.5 years between fights.
Thank you to HCC Construction in Ontario, California. They're a national leader in commercial construction with a proven track record of expertise in cold storage solutions and epoxy flooring. Their team works closely with you to efficiently meet all compliance standards while maintaining budget commitments and completing projects on time. HCC Construction works with Fortune 500 companies and small businesses throughout the country in the areas of steel stud framing, refrigeration panels, dock doors, comprehensive drain systems, fire sprinklers, block walls, and much more. For bids, quotes, or a free consultation, call 909-626-0214 or visit their website at www.hdconstruction.com. Ralph Sarabia and his wife Jody Sarabia are the founders of Putazos. They started Putazos to reach the veteran community who is currently losing 22 vets a day to suicide. Ralph and his unit, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, lost over 15 guys while serving in Iraq. He wanted to share with you that whether you fight physical or mental battles, it ain't over yet. With that said, Putazos has developed high-end boxing gloves that have been approved by State Athletic Commission to be in pro fights. If you want a boxing glove that's inspired by patriotism and is battle-tested, check them out at putazosfightapparel.com. And just keep in mind that a portion of Putazos proceeds will go to the Semper Fi Fund, which helps wounded warriors. Also, we want to give another shout out to Valley Mission Builders. Valley Mission Builders is a general building company with over 3 generations of construction experience. They specialize in all phases of home construction, new home building, remodeling, room additions, and ADU and guest units. They can assist with planning and designing to complete construction. They service the greater Los Angeles area and Ventura counties, including the San Fernando Valley. Give Valley Mission Builders a call for a free consultation.
Is there such thing as being stale? Or?
If I had taken those 2.5 years off, and I had not been in the gym training, then I would have seen the rust, what everybody knows as ring rust. You would definitely have seen it. But during those 2.5 years, I was in the gym every day, training, sparring. You would think that I was probably getting ready for a fight. During that time, my brother had just moved out here to Riverside, and he had started training some of these young kids, the Franco, the Tanahara, the Navarro, and Gomez, and a couple other fighters that he had that they were turning pro. So it kind of worked out for me to stay in shape because I kept helping them, training with them, sparring with them, running together. So they were getting ready for their fights, and I was helping them by sparring all of them. And that also kept me in shape and sharp. So when I did come back for my first fight back, after that layoff.
Smooth
It was
transition.
just very smooth. It was like as if I had never left. So I do feel that.
But yet
that's
the
the reason.
sports people really emphasize, oh, Mikey Garcia has been out of the ring for 2.5 years, and whether they're trying to hype up the fight or they're really.
But it was facts. I was
Yeah.
gone. I was not actively fighting for those 2.5 years.
If you don't mind, what was that about? The fans wanna know, the politics side of it.
Yeah, politics in the contracts between the promoter and myself. My belief and my understanding and my contract read that the contract expired February 26th of 2014, and we're in February 2014, and I'm trying to renew the contract. The promoter was trying to hold on to some extension, like a clause that said, and it read that if at time of expiration, I needed to complete 5 title defenses.
How many did you have at that time?
And we had 3 title fights, not defenses. Sorry, title fights.
Oh, okay.
And so they didn't fight me for the remainder of that time. So the WBO ended up, quote unquote, stripping me from the title. They asked me that I vacate my title because I was not fighting. Top Rank didn't secure a fight for me. So when they didn't secure a fight for me, I lost my title. Now, therefore, what title fights can I offer? What title defenses can I offer?
Yeah.
So that was the whole, litigation there. It's just that it takes so long to finally go through court and all that. And when it finally did, I was able to walk away. But it took 2 years to get there.
I guess you can only speak for yourself, but does that make you bitter as a fighter? Or it's just politics?
Look, it's part of the business, I guess. You kind of have to just take it. I do understand, that there's business involved in boxing. Yeah. The promoters, they're looking after the best interest of their business. Yeah. They are also trying to make business. And I'm also doing the best for myself.
Exactly.
And so that's the conflict there. You might get into these, bumping heads sometimes. I do feel that I did the right thing. My contract was over. And it wasn't my fault that I vacated the title. They just didn't secure a fight for me. Yeah. In the time frame that I was required to. So I lost the title on their end. So what title defense can I offer? If it's your own fault that you basically breached contract. Yeah. And I'm just stuck in the middle. But to get it to court and get it to the judge, it just took so long.
So when you got released from that particular incident, that contract,
I flew.
Ran with it, huh?
Vámonos. And it's what I want to do. I was dictating my career. I was asking for the fights that I wanted to take. I had no one else guiding me, managing me. I was all on me, So
tell the fans, who was your trainer? Was it Robert and your dad, or?
So my dad.
Does that? I mean, I've been around.
It overlaps. My dad started me throughout my first part of the career. My brother would basically assist my dad at that time. Then when I became world champion in 2013 against Orlando Salido. Then my dad finally he wanted to have that I made him. Yeah. I took him to the first world title. After that, he basically let go and said, okay, now Robert, you take over and I'll assist.
But yet when I go to your brother's gym, I see your dad.
Oh, my dad's right there every day. Yeah. My dad kept saying he was going to retire, but he never retired. He's still there. Yeah. He's there every day. I mean, my dad loves the sport so much. He says boxing and the boxing gym is like medicine for him. It's like his medicine. Yeah. He needs it. It's like he's addicted to it. He needs to be around boxing. He needs to be watching fights. I think he's in Stockton today for some fights that they got out there in Stockton. Oh, okay. He went with Pita or Chepe, one of them. Because, I mean, he just loves it so much. And like, he grew up admiring and loving boxing so much and doing it for so many years. He's like, dude, I need it. What am I going to do? Be at home? What am I going to start now, doing something? Like, I can't think of anything else to do except go to the gym, watch the fighters, and give some advice, give some guidance. He can't physically do the work no more. He's older and gets tired. But that up here, the
still ticking, still working.
Yeah, that's still there.
And like I was telling Robert, when I see your dad, I'm like Ben, and I just. Mr. Garcia, how you doing? I get real. That's all respect, all respect.
Very respect. My dad's very respected by everybody. Yeah. Whenever we go to the gym, and I'll say we, because myself too, when I was there, and my dad was not in the gym, it was a free day. It was a break. It was fun. It was a fun day. Yeah. Like everybody's on break. But whenever my dad's there, hey, you're here to work.
That's
you know, even if he's not on your ass that moment, but just him in the gym, you know, you better
the aura, as they say.
Yeah. The energy changes. You better be hitting the bag harder and you know, sparring harder and just
same when we were kids around Ben, man. When Ben would come in and somebody made him upset, oh, watch out, man. He'd
for
be,
sure.
You know what I mean?
And see,
we tease each other like, better you than me, bro.
Ben and my dad, you know, they come from that older school, old way of training where it's serious work.
You want to play,
you know, you want to play, go to the park, go outside, go to the playground. But inside of the gym, you're here to work.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're trying to get ready for a fight, if you're gonna be training half-ass doing it, that's dangerous when you go to the fight. And as a trainer, it's on them. It falls on them. Every time the fighter loses a fight, everybody looks at the trainer. If the fighter gets tired, if the fighter doesn't perform well or doesn't meet the expectations, everybody looks at the trainer. And it may not be the trainer's fault that the fighter was the one not training hard enough or taking days off or whatever, but it still falls on the trainer.
Yeah.
So Ben,
like
my
football,
dad, you know,
they fire the coach.
They fire the coach.
Yeah.
You know, so same thing. So that's why my dad's very serious about training. And hey, it's my responsibility to make sure you're in shape. Yeah. You know, if you fight your ass off, you fight hard, and even if we lose, but you fought hard, and okay, we can walk away. You know,
gave it our 100.
You gave it 100%. We knew we gave everything we could. But when you come in there, you know, at 60%, 70% because it's your fault, no one's gonna blame the fighter. They always blame the coach. That's where Ben, my dad, come from.
Yeah. So Mikey, not to get into your personal purse, your wallet, but how do you feel about these fighters nowadays blowing their money? I mean, from what I just know of you, you did well. You invested. You looked in the future.
We did well, and also, like I said, I've had the experience of seeing other fighters. You know, like I said, I've been around it for many years, so I have a different take on boxing. Whereas some of the younger fighters, it's their first time. No one else in their family or close friends have been at the level. So when they start making money, I mean, it's natural for them to want to spend money, want to go buy the fancy stuff,
the big cars.
I mean, they want that, and they don't have anybody to guide them or tell them what to do, what not to do. Because honestly, a boxing manager ain't your financial advisor. Boxing manager and promoter, they don't care. No one ever advising you on what to do with your money or what to buy and what not to buy. They're there to manage your boxing career, not outside of boxing. Yeah. So the way I see it, you know, I grew up watching, observing. I learned from others, and that's why I was able to do well with what I made. And now I've always remind all the fighters that my brother has.
Yeah, Robert was telling me.
I remind them.
You always offer advice.
I advise them. I guide them as much as I can. Whenever anybody asks a question, I'm there. I brought one of my good friends, a financial advisor, a legit financial advisor, to the gym to speak to the kids, speak to the fighters, offer his services, and you know. If they don't take advantage of this, I mean,
that's their own fault.
It's almost like on them now. But I continue to remind them. I'm not just showing them, oh, here, talk to this guy and walk away. I continue to remind them.
I mean, you know? I remember Zach Padilla.
Yeah, Zach.
I remember he was going to fight Julio Cesar Chavez. $1 million to get him. And I'm just saying in general, I'm sure he like, wow, $1 million. This is back in the early 90s. $1 million bucks was $1 million.
It's good money.
And he got hurt.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I'm sure financially that was hard on him.
Look,
you know what I mean?
When a fighter's making good money, and when I mean good money, I'm talking, you know, a couple $100,000s and up. You know, before that, you really don't make a lot of money. You're making, you know, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 per fight, you know, or 8, 10 rounds. Eventually, you might move up to a good $40,000 fight. And okay, now you're starting to see some money.
Yeah.
But that's still not enough to say I'm gonna live, you know.
Well,
carefree.
Even nowadays,
you know,
$1 million
it's not a lot.
Really don't go far.
But if you're starting to make, you know, a couple hundred, $200,000-$300,000 per fight, even if you're not world champion, but you're already fighting on those. Okay, you better start putting some money away.
Invest something.
You better start putting some of that away. Invest it or put it away in
Robert was saying
portfolio.
Real estate.
Real estate is really good.
Probably the easiest.
It's one of the
doesn't
easiest,
take a genius.
Exactly. It's one of the easiest, most conservative ways to invest. Long term, you're gonna do fine. You may be able to start some business maybe for the same amount of money
and
and maybe do better.
Mind you,
But
fans,
do you know business?
Mikey is educated. I remember that.
Yeah, a little
You
bit.
went to school. You
little
did,
bit.
Yeah.
Well, you learn also from everybody around. I've been able to.
So besides
interact
being
with a lot of-
educated in the books, you're educated in the calles.
Yeah,
también, ¿no?
I mean you're out
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
with my experience, and also all the people that I've been able to meet and network with and become friends. And I'm talking people that are very smart in business and good entrepreneurs, and just I learn from them. I learn from everybody. Believe it or not, you even learn from someone that's not maybe at that level, but there may be something you learn. So you always learn from everybody. So I always remind the kids, hey, make sure you guys are putting money away. Especially if you're making some of those purses, you don't need millions of dollars to say I need to invest. You just need a few, hundreds of, $1,000. Start investing right away. The sooner you start doing it, the better. It could even be a few $1,000s.
Yeah, exactly.
that you start with. It could be $5,000, but you got to start somewhere. And over the time, if you're making, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per fight, start putting $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 away, and just keep building. If your career continues, and hopefully it goes,
that will add up.
and great, it's gonna add up. You may end up with a couple $100,000 of investment, in the portfolio or something, and now you're good. Now you got something there. If you're able to buy another house or something, even better. But at least you have something to that you started, that you began with. And that's what I've told a lot of the guys. And like I did that for myself. A lot of people might think you need a lot of money to start investing, but like I say, you really don't. Something real simple. If you say someone made $50,000 to invest, or has $50,000, took them 3-4 years to save up to invest $50,000, and he puts it in an account, CD account or whatever, at say 6%. That'd be great right now because no one's paying that. But let's say that you were able to get that 6% from 50. That's $3,500 a year, right? That's $3,000 a year. 6 times 5 is 33. So $3,000 a year. But let's say someone else.
Don't make me take off my shoes and count.
Okay, so that's if you're at 6%, 50, that's $3,000. But let's say someone else just decided to save $300 a month.
Yeah.
Just save $300 a month. $300 a month at 12, that's $3,600. That person that saves $300 a month more is making more money than the person that had to save $50,000 and invest $50,000. So like I say, sometimes you don't need a whole lot to start making some returns.
I remember when I worked construction, there was a multimillionaire we worked for, and I go, how'd you become a millionaire? And he goes, this was his quote. He goes, watch your pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just stuck in my mind.
You do got to be very, very conservative.
Yeah.
Especially like you got to have the discipline and just, it's not necessarily that you're living below your means. It's just that you're being conservative with what you're making. When you're making money as a young fighter, a 21-year-old, I was 21 years old. I was fighting on HBO, making $100,000 a fight. That first year, 2010, I think it was 2010, I made 3 fights at $100,000 each, and I was 21 years old. That's $300,000. That's a lot of money for a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
But I didn't go buy any of the expensive stuff, any jewelry, any cars. No, what I do, I bought a house. So that's the way you need to think. Now,
you hear that, fans? You hear that, fighters? Take it from the main guy. Huh?
Look, when at the moment when I was making the millions during some of those fights later, I still wasn't splurging on myself. I kept putting it away through real estate. For me, it was real estate. Just keep buying and whatever.
Yeah.
Now that I'm retired, I can enjoy and splurge a little bit here and there because now I know I got everything else already secured. Everything else is already secured. My kids are secured with college funds, retirement accounts.
Yeah.
I got a good portfolio with real estate, rental incomes. I got a couple of things that are continue bringing money every month. Okay, now I know I can spend this amount of money. Okay, how much is that? What do I need over here? Okay, boom, 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 boom. And you put it together. And you're like, okay, now I could go ahead and let's go on that vacation that we wanted. Or let's go buy that thing that we want.
And at the end of the day,
you
could sit back and say, I made this through my fighting.
I did.
Where some of these fighters, what do I got to show for it? And pobrecitos,
exactly.
I feel bad from that. They die poor.
Look, most fighters
struggles.
Most boxing is a very tough sport. Physically, takes a lot from you, takes a lot of time. it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. You know, a lot of fighters, you know, leave the sport with health problems, health issues.
And let me interrupt you,
I mean,
Mikey.
it's bad.
With
It's
that
rough.
said, you speak very intelligent.
Thanks.
You don't slur. When did you know that's it?
Well,
Because even with the Spence fight,
Yeah.
you could have went back down,
yeah, I could have.
you know, and kept going.
I
You were making. I mean,
I could have
you were
fought-
selling out on
I could have continued. Look, it's almost 2 years since my last fight. My last fight was October 16th of 2021. Okay, so it'll be 2 years this October. I was 33. I'm 35 right now. I could continue fighting. Physically, I'm still capable of doing it. I'm not hurt. I was never hurt, knocked out bad to where I'm like, okay, now it's time to hang him up for that reason. I just decided to hang him up because I didn't feel the drive for it. I didn't feel the hunger for it. I was not motivated anymore. I wanted to get away from boxing and now enjoy some time for myself and my family, my kids, friends, everybody around me. When I was in boxing, you're 110% dedicated to the sport of boxing. That means you're missing out on holidays. You're missing out on celebrations. You're missing out on birthdays. I even missed my daughter's birth. You know, I mean, you're missing out on a lot of special occasions, a lot of special events in life because you're so dedicated to the sport. Yes, that allowed me to be so successful in my sport, but it also took away a lot of time, a lot of moments, a lot of memories I could have had that I missed out on. And so it finally came to where, like, you know what? I don't need to box anymore. I don't care about boxing anymore. I want to retire and finally start making up for that time that I've lost.
Yeah.
Enjoy the time. Let's go on trips. Let's go on vacation. Let's spend time together. Let's go here. Let's, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what caused me to, or at least that's what made me realize it's time to retire.
And to put it in layman's term, again, you have your marbles. You're
I'm
healthy.
Look, everybody asks. A lot of people ask me, "Why'd you retire? You know, you're so young." Yeah, that's exactly why. Because I'm young.
Yeah.
Why retire when I'm already old, beat up, after 3 or 4 more losses and getting knocked out, and now I have bad eyesight or bad speech or bad hearing or bad balance, or my bones are all hurting, my elbows messed up, my shoulder. Yeah. Why do it that, you know, at that point? I'd rather do it right now and walk away. I'm not hurt. I'm physically 100%. I feel great. I think it was the perfect time for me.
Yeah, perfect timing.
I did what I had to do in boxing. It's not like you're going to see me go back in time when I was 25 and see me perform the way I was at 25, 26, 27, 28. No, you're not going to see that. I'm not going to see that again, you know? So why continue?
Do you still watch boxing?
A little bit. I'll be watching tomorrow's, you know, fights. I watch once in a while, not a whole lot. I'm not one to be watching every single thing.
So you don't see training in, and you don't
I'll stop by the gym once in a while.
I'm saying training any fighters. You don't
Me?
see that in your future?
Oh, no. Hey.
We want to also thank our friends at Kelstar Roofing. Kelstar Roofing specializes in residential roofing, installing concrete roofing tiles, and composition asphalt shingles. They have been serving the Inland Empire for over 31 years. Call on Kelstar Roofing for all of your roofing needs. Thank our friends at CJ Smiles. CJ Smiles is an organization that supports families dealing with childhood cancer by providing financial support and gifts with the hope of putting a smile to children with fighting cancer. CJ Smiles started in memory of CJ Jafasi, who was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma in 2019. CJ loved to laugh, tell jokes, play soccer, and video games. He had the best smile. For 2.5 years, he battled cancer with chemotherapy, radiation, multiple procedures, extensive hospital stays, and had relapsed twice. CJ gained his angel wings at the age of 10 years old. This sponsor, when it came in, it pulled some heartstrings, I have to admit. I'm an oncology nurse, and this one hit home. So again, it pulled my heartstrings, and I really want to thank you guys for your support and what you do in the community.
Well, as of right now, I'm not planning on training any fighter, and I do not see myself training fighters. I've always told myself I'm never training fighters. Who knows? Maybe in a few years, things change or something happens where I want to teach someone or take someone. For example, my son, he seems to like boxing. He's only 8, but he likes to boxing. He has a little natural.
It's in his DNA, bro.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
at least for right now, I'm not planning. But who knows? Maybe in a few years he decides to box. Well, I'll bring him to my brother's gym. I'll take him there to Pita and Robert and let them train him. But of course, I'm gonna become my dad, where I'm there, I'm watching, I'm observing, and I'm still guiding, still giving tips. You know. So who knows? Maybe I will do it for that reason. But as a trainer, like as a career,
today,
no. I do not want that. I know what it takes. I see my brother. Look, he's traveling out in Vegas. Pita's up in Stockton. They always got fights every weekend. They're always out of town. They're working. Now, my brother enjoys being a trainer more than he did being a boxer. But I just retired. I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to have to go and be responsible and have a commitment and really, perform. Not right now.
So, on another note, what do you feel about the referees in California? Have any complaints or anything? I mean, what did you? Because lately, even in Nevada and here, they've been some controversial calls.
I think there's always gonna be controversial decisions and calls when it comes to referees and judges and all that. I think a referee has a big responsibility to the fighter first, and sometimes the audience and the critics don't understand that.
No one
is there.
I thought Mikey was gonna chin check me over here, and you know what I mean.
No one has a better eye than you, the referee there. You are the one that can see the opponent's eyes, their body language,
their noises they make,
the breathing, the grunting of a punch. So you can tell. The audience can't see that. They don't tell.
Not even ringside. It's
only you.
Thank you.
Sometimes the referee will see things that no one else has seen.
I got to tell my podcast Billy to keep replaying that part and clean up for us.
It's the truth.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
Is.
But see, the fans don't know that. The critics, the people on TV, the commentators, they don't know that. But the referee does. And sometimes that's why there may be a stoppage that the fans didn't quite agree with. But the referee seen something or seen it in his eyes. Because you know it. You see it in their eyes and their body expression, their body language. You see it in their face like that. So you may see something that's telling you, the end is near. Or, hey, this is time right now. And you may see the other opponent, his eyes and, the expression. He's coming. Hey, this could be serious danger now. So, hey, let's put an end to it.
And Mikey, it's like I've actually done, I think, one of your fights back in the day. But Jack Reese and Tom Taylor, there are trainers, and we have this little saying when we give our pre-fight instructions. Mm-hmm. I always tell the fighter, you know what? I'll take you out to deep water, but I'm not gonna let you drown.
Yep.
I'd rather you be upset with me tonight than your mom hating me in the morning.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Look, we feel the same way when it comes to my brother, my dad as trainers, to our fighter. If we see that our fighter is getting hurt and there's hardly any chance of us actually winning the fight, and there's a higher risk of our fighter getting hurt, seriously hurt, we're gonna stop the fight.
Yeah.
We'd rather have the fighter mad at us and angry that we stopped the fight, and because the fighter is balls, the fighter wants to fight, but we'd rather have him angry at us than have his wife or his kids or his mom, his dad, complaining and crying that we got to pick him up because now he's hurt. That's not what we're there. We're there to win. If we have a chance to win, if we're there, if we have an opportunity to win, we're gonna continue. But if we see that the chances are very slim to none, and in fact there's a higher risk of getting hurt, we're gonna stop it. Just like you guys, the referees. Like I said, people forget that the referee is there to also protect the fighters.
And the rules, and that's it.
You got to be there to protect the fighters first, and obviously let the fight, if it's competitive, okay, you're there. But when you see something, your responsibility is to protect the fighters. No one wants to see, a tragedy.
Yes.
And it happens, every year there's 1 or 2 deaths in boxing. Why not prevent? If we can prevent it, let's prevent that. I think every fighter can agree with that.
And with that said, Mikey, I want to hear from the one of the best fighters in the world, and I mean that. What do you think of instant replay? You think it would help the sport any? Now, mind you, would have to make that decision in that 1 minute.
I've seen some occasions where they started kind of trying to implement a little bit of the replay. Yeah. I can see there's got to be some ruling or some kind of I don't know what.
Yeah, it's not etched in stone.
It's not etched in stone, right? But I have seen something like that. Okay, so first of all, I may think that it could help for certain moments, for certain occasions. For example, a foul, possibly a low blow, maybe. Okay, maybe you want to...
Or the fan or the commentator called it a knockdown, I called it a slip.
Exactly. Things of that. If it was a knockdown or not knockdown, okay, you can go to that. But, I mean, you also are taking time away from the fight.
Well, this is why I say in detail they have to make it in that minute
break. It has to be in that minute break.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about a minute break, you're probably talking less than that because you really only got about 50 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is hard.
It is going to be very hard. I don't feel like we need it. That's just the way we've had the sport of boxing. That's the way it's been. I don't feel we need to change it.
And on that note, I always say when there's human error, if they call it error, it causes
controversy. It makes for another fight or something.
Right.
I mean, I don't see the need for it. Now, could it help? Yeah, it could help. Like I said, if there's a knockdown or a certain foul or something, maybe you might be able to use it. But do we need it? I don't think we do. I don't think it's necessary. It's not something that we need to have. If it was that necessary, we probably would have had it, 30 years ago. I mean, it's not like we haven't had cameras recording, 30, 40 years ago. So you could have implemented it since then. But I don't think we need it.
Well, with that said, Mikey, I got to ask you, man, this won't be aired until after the fight, but I want to hear from you. What is your prediction on the Crawford Spence fight? This is a big fight coming right. You fought Spence.
Look,
and then you tell me you fought Crawford back in the amateurs.
Yeah, I did.
So both they're stilos.
I know both of them. I did fight Terrence Crawford in the amateurs back in 2006 out in U.S. Championships.
What weight was that at?
32.
132.
132. Back in 2006, 132.
And this fight's at 147?
They're fighting 147. I fought Errol. Like I said, my last 3 fights were at welterweight, but I was walking in 43, 44.
That's after a good meal, huh?
Errol Spence is a very good fighter, very big fighter, can manage the distance and range and does everything very, very well. Crawford himself is a very, great fighter.
He
very
seems
talented.
to adapt.
He can adapt and make changes.
Yes.
I personally feel that Crawford has a slight edge because he can change things on the moment. He can fight right-handed. He can fight left-handed. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. Or he can actually run around, box very well. Left-handed, right-handed. He can do a lot of little tricks like that. That's why I think he will have the slight edge. Because he can adapt. He can change. Whereas Errol, from recent fights that I've seen and from what I've seen, even though he does everything very well, he still hasn't really changed his fights.
One dimension.
It's pretty simple. I mean, he's very well when he manages the distance and the range, but that's pretty much all he does. Like, have you ever seen him box around, circle around, footwork and stuff?
And just going back to your fight, every time he kept trying to get in, he just stepped back just a little.
Just
he knew not to let you inside.
Exactly. But I've never seen him, do all these nice little swift tricks and like I have with Terrence. So I'm going to have to say I give the edge to Terrence. I think he might pull it off, but it's still a very close fight. They're both at their prime. They're both at the peak of their game, both undefeated welterweight champions. They both want to be the undisputed welterweight champion. So, I mean, I'm excited for the fight. I think more than anything, everybody in the sport of boxing is excited for this fight. It took, a few years for them to finally get it together, but it's here.
All right. Well, before we go, I just want to ask you one last question, and all I want to say is who's the best, coolest referee, bro?
You are, brother.
There it is. The interview's over, man. But no, I just want to thank you, Mikey, man. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your history in the fight game. And, hey, fans, check out the YouTube. And when you see Mike at a fight,
highlights.
That's right, man. So you want to give a shout-out to any fans?
I remember you telling me that you went fishing. Do you go fishing now?
No.
I thought you said Ben later asked you to go fishing one time.
No.
Then he asked you like, "Hey, do you go fishing? Do you?"
No, I don't remember it.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for always supporting and always showing love. I hope I gave plenty of good memories to all and good fights that you guys can talk about and remember. And and I gave it my all.
Are you in the Hall of Fame yet?
No.
Oh, come on. Hey, come on, man.
Not yet.
Hall of Fame. Come on, man.
Not yet.
Hall of Fame. Let's go. Let's go.
It's more, for me, it's more of what the fans give me.
That's what I'm saying.
And
I'm sure the fans are going to write in now. You guys got to write in.
The world titles that I earned don't mean anything if I don't have the love and support from the fans.
And we love you, man.
You know, we got... I was able to win, fortunate to win 5 world titles across 4 divisions, competing in 5 divisions, but won titles in 4. And those titles, like I said, don't mean anything if the fans don't recognize you, don't support you, and don't love you. So everything that I've earned, I basically owe it to my fans. And that's why I'm always very grateful to my fans. I give them all the pictures they want, all the time they want, autographs, all that, because I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for them. And that's why I always appreciate and love, and I mean, I'm always here for them.
Well, thank you again, Mikey, for coming on. And we'll bring him on again in a few months, man. Yeah. Him, his brother, and we'll just have barbershop talk.
Bring him back. We'll have my brother, myself, Pita. We'll do it all together. Do a little conversation.
From the generation. You know what I mean? That'd be cool. All right, Mikey.
All right.
God bless.